Skaffade Rushkasne who is negro is no Smithone we've scuffed it and it's like no looks the hurry yours make up below
Baby going here. Shavana.
Remember,
no is your name the not
Sag, no, no, so, excellent.
let's see it away.
Snap off me, Aggie, sure. Oh, guys, I apologize. I had the invert button on. We don't have to do all this over again. All
hit it, Chewy.
All right, here we go. Start with your intro again.
What's going on, guys and gals? What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Reel Hunting, where we hunt for the good reels so you don't have to. It's your boy Brad. The Britman's over there. Chris is down there. It's Beers with the Bros again, baby. And we're talking Tenet today. If you haven't seen the rest of our Beers with the Bros episodes, we're going to post a link to those right over Brett's head over there. They might be in reverse, but that's okay. Click on it anyway. You guys jacked today or what?
Yeah, buddy. I've been waiting on this one for a while.
Oh, yeah, you and your crazy theories you had right before the movie came out.
Got the script right here in case we need to submit to it.
Oh, heck yeah.
See what's going on in there.
Dude, like, you could do books, movies, reviews, videos. Like, I still don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm going to be relying on you all a lot on this video. And I'll just throw in some random thoughts out there that I did like about the movie.
That sounds like a plan, Stan. I'm excited to talk about it. Chris has been dying for this episode for a long time now. We got busy, but now we're here to do it. And I watched the movie for the second time yesterday, so I'm ready to talk about it, man.
Yeah, it's not like we're in like production on like a Pennywise skit or anything like that.
Yeah, up to our balls.
Pennywise. I mean,
yes. It's
So-
Sacramento. This will be we're talking spoilers here. So if you've not seen Tenet, watch Tenet and then come right back to this segment right here because we're heavy spoiler talks.
So I'm excited to tackle this topic. Obviously, it's the most recent Christopher Nolan flick to come out, it was delayed a few times last year in 2020, and it ended up coming out there in the fall. And obviously, it didn't make huge amounts of money just given the circumstance and things like that. But I think most people at least had a good time with it. I don't think it's anybody's favorite Christopher Nolan flick, but that's not saying a lot. He's got some masterpieces out there. So so right off the bat, man, what are you guys thinking, man? Just quick little thoughts on the flick, and we'll kind of get into it.
Well, when I first heard about this, like the trailer looks really good. It really caught my eye about like, oh, okay, we got a little bit of like time, like kind of like past and future colliding. And so it really sold me on the story, like from that trailer. And then just with the cast that was in it with like Robert Pattinson and John Washington, which is the son of Denzel Washington. So it really, those two people alone really like sold the trailer for me. So I was ready to go, man.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? Were you jacked? I know you were jacked. You were talking about this bad boy
dude. Yeah, man. That's your bachelor party the end of July last year, man. It had already been delayed the one time. And I mean, I got sucked into this thing. I was on Reddit all the time reading all these theories, trying, I love Christopher Nolan anyway, but I think probably a big part of that was quarantine as well. We weren't having a lot of other things to do. So I got sucked into it, man. Waited for it. It finally came out. Saw it in IMAX. Yeah, the first time. Yeah, it's pretty fucking awesome. But yeah, I mean, I was excited for it. I got sucked into it, but I did leave the first screening, I think, kind of let down a little bit. I thought it was going to be a little bit different. I thought they kind of missed a little something there. Definitely not my favorite Nolan film, but it's odd because it's not my favorite Nolan film, but I definitely saw it in theaters 5 times. So it's odd.
Man, you were one short away from in order to see it 6 times.
Yeah. I almost saw it as like a challenge. I saw it the first time, and I mean, let's be honest. I had a couple in me. Okay, I had a couple beers in there, so I was sitting there like, what the fuck? And so I went back the second time, and I was like, still what the fuck, but a little less. And then finally on the 6th time, I was like, I think I got it, dude. Then I bought the script, and once I got that down, and I could actually understand, what some of the characters were saying, man, a lot of pieces fit together. Because let's be real, the sound. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but yeah, it's got some sound problems on there.
What do you think has better sound, this movie or our next Pennywise skit that's coming out here pretty soon?
You know what? I'm glad that you equated it to that, because I think that they'll probably be similar. I've thought about subtitling a lot of what of what is on there. No, it's not that bad. I really think that it'll be fine. It'll fly.
Hell yeah.
It's better. I think I did a better job with our audio than Christopher Nolan did
with his.
Yeah, and right before we hopped on here, I was on Matt Fauci's 300th celebration, and I told him about how we were doing this episode, and immediately the very first thing I told them, turn on the damn subtitles.
Yep.
Because you will not understand a damn thing that's going on. Chris, I'm surprised, on your third viewing in the theaters, you'd be like, excuse me, clerk, is there any way to turn on the subtitles for this movie?
Yeah, honestly, the first time there were long stretches where I couldn't hear the sound at all.
Yes.
And I think by the third viewing, there were a couple of things that started to click, like, oh shit, well, he said this, so that means, this completely fits with something later in the movie.
Yeah.
But there were still parts of it that after 5 times, what I actually saw, I did 5 times. So 5 times in the theater, I still could not fucking figure out what they were saying. So I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a major problem too.
I was really surprised. I fucking spit all over the place. I was really surprised that they did not try and remedy that somehow in home video, because it's the exact same cut on 4K as it was in the theater.
I will say, I think it was a little bit easier to understand at home, at least in my experience. Let me tell you how my theater experience went, by the way. So we get there. It went atrociously. It's probably the worst thing ever. We went in there. Okay, we went in there, and so this is something I've been waiting all summer for. It gets delayed. It comes out. Finally, it's out. I'm like, oh, finally, I can go watch a real damn movie in theaters. I'm jacked. I get there, and I guess the theater had been closed down for so long, they didn't know how to turn their shit back on, because we go in there, we're in there, we're watching the movie. I don't even think it had any previews or anything, or I remember it being kind of weird from the get-go. And the movie comes on. It starts out with this opera scene, right? And there's absolutely no sound, no fucking sound at all. It's just showing the video. Oh, it's like when you're trying to watch your DVD player, and you got the yellow wire plugged into the TV, but not the red one or the white one.
Oh, long live the days.
It's kind of like that, and it was just playing the video, and I'm like, okay, surely this is going to click on any second. We must have sat in there for 25 minutes. I just assumed somebody was going to go tell them, but there was only 5 people in the theater.
You went through that for 25 minutes?
It was a while. It was at least 15 to 25, and then eventually, everybody left. Okay, we got up and okay, can we fix this? And then they did, and they worked on it for a while, and then they just restarted the whole movie. So then we go in there, and they had that shit cranked up to a damn 11. Starts the movie completely over, and my eardrums were blown by the time freaking the
score kicked in.
Yeah, the score kicked in. I'm like, holy shit. The score was so loud throughout the whole experience. I couldn't understand probably over half the dialogue in the movie. I remember at one point at the end when he's talking to Sator on the phone down in the he's down in the mine. Yeah, I couldn't hear a single bit of that dialogue in the theater. And there was a lot of scenes like that. Now, I don't think it was quite as bad at home. I did have the subtitles on, but I still think the audio, I don't think they fixed it. I think it was just a matter of not having my eardrums blown out by the score. Made it a little bit easier to hear, but man, it was very frustrating. That's why I didn't even bother going back and seeing it again. I'm like, I'm not watching this again until I have subtitles. There's not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like a challenge. Like I said, where I was just like, I will understand this. I will get to the bottom of this, one way or another.
Well, you were close with your theory when we were talking at the bachelor party.
Yeah, some parts of it. Yeah.
Some.
Yeah, I mean, the big overall plot was a little bit different than what I anticipated, but I had a couple of plot points in there. But yeah, the sound was absolutely atrocious, man. And I think Interstellar had a couple problems with sound as well. I think that's been well documented, but whenever there's not as much dialogue and you can kind of grasp what you're watching, you know what I mean? It doesn't play as big of a role. But what I couldn't understand was like, and I want to say it up front, I love the score. I thought it was phenomenal. Way too fucking loud. Love the score. Way too fucking loud.
Yeah.
But whenever you're having people fucking talk backwards and you're moving at such a breakneck pace that, if you miss one word, you're going to, 10 minutes later, you're going to be lost. And then you've got about 11 different accents in there. And half the time they're either through a walkie-talkie or have a mask. Yeah. Have a mask on.
Especially when sorry to interrupt, but especially when Sator had the mask on. That's like impossible without subtitles to understand what the hell he was saying.
Yeah, and you're right. You can never see their lips. I remember at one point there was a couple scenes in the movie where they're planning shit out, like their little airplane crash and all that, and the score's so loud. You can't understand a damn word they're saying because the score. But then, like on top of that, it's doing this little spinny thing with the camera to where the person who's talking is always their backs turned to you. So it's like there was I remember there's three people talking on their plane about their plane. It's Pattinson, it's Washington, and then what's the Mahir?
Mahir, yes, which is played by Himshia Patel. I know that name, but
yeah, they were talking, but whoever was talking was their back was faced to you, And,
Chris, I always warn people at the videos that I do not. I just shit on people's names, and I'm not doing it intentionally.
I know, but I really think that his name is Himesh Patel, and you said him Shia.
Anyways, Brad.
Anyway, yeah, it just wasn't. It'd be nice to at least see who's talking, but at the end of the day, you can subtitles. Someone fixes that. It's still a little bit of an annoying thing, but yeah, I mean it's a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to keep going with like Chris, what brought up already, the score. The score was just amazing. And the composer, which Chris, I'm getting ready to butcher another name, so you behave yourself. Ludwig Göransson.
Hey, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, he was the composer of this movie, and phenomenal job. Like from the opening, from the opening, all the sound, did a good job, setting the tone, setting the mood of the scene. Especially towards the last third act of the battle scene was great. But I agree with Brad that just the sound and the score did overshadow the lyrics, so you can't really hear anything. Because trust me, I'd rather hear the movie and hear the plot versus hear the movie. But yeah, other than that, that was great. And I'm sure we'll get to cinematography too, because that's another huge positive for me in this movie.
Oh, yeah. One interesting thing is Ludwig here. I thought, like you said, he did a phenomenal job. Obviously, usually Christopher Nolan brings in Hans Zimmer to do the score, so this was a nice departure.
Yeah, I was shocked when I learned that he didn't do this movie.
He was actually busy doing
Bond,
Dune, or was it Bond?
Could be both, one or the other. Probably. Yeah, probably
one
both.
or the other.
Fun fact, though, Ludwig Göransson was also did the score for The Mandalorian, which I always thought was really good.
Yes. I didn't know that actually, but yeah, that score is fantastic. So yeah, that makes sense.
Black Panther as well.
That score was awesome.
Black Panther's score was really, really strong.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that he's actually I don't think that he's done too awfully many films. But yeah, it was a big departure in a lot of those departments.
Okay, yeah, I know why he's good like for the composer. He did both of the Creed movies, and the Creed scores and soundtracks were amazing.
Yeah, Rex,
Yeah, and he also did Venom too, and We're the Millers. So that was random as hell. But yeah, We're the Millers. That random as hell. But no, the Creed movies, yeah, because I actually had Creed vibes with this movie when I heard the score and all that. So
yeah,
again, really great job.
Yeah, he must have done some work with Ryan Coogler there in the past. That's 3 of his flicks. So, or I guess only 2. So, but anyway,
he even did Central Intelligence. What the fuck?
that was back in the We Are the Millers era.
Yeah,
that must have been his start up there. That must have been his first couple of gigs there.
I guess so. But hey, I'm glad where he's at now. So
yeah.
Okay, so you guys want to talk about the overall like the cast of this flick, because I think it's pretty good overall. I wasn't a huge fan of John David Washington as the protagonist, honestly. I don't know how you guys feel about him. I just thought he was kind of stale, and I don't know. I didn't really like the way he did his delivery and things like that. Just not exciting, But you take Christopher Nolan, and usually he's got Leonardo in there, Matthew McConaughey, freaking Heath Ledger, all these freaking top tier guys. So, obviously, I don't know if he compares to those guys. But the rest of the cast, I mean, obviously, Robert Pattinson was great. He was entertaining. Elizabeth Debicki, though, and Kenneth Branagh. Both of I think those guys really stole the show in this flick in particular.
Yeah, it was a big departure for him too.
So yeah, what do you guys think about the cast of this flick? Okay, because overall it was pretty solid. I think I'm not the hugest fan of John David Washington's performance. I thought he was a little stale with his delivery and whatnot. Just not quite what we're used to from a Christopher Nolan flick. Obviously, you're comparing him to Leonardo DiCaprio, Matthew McConaughey, and Heath Ledger and those guys, right? So it's a step down, I think, for the protagonist. Obviously, Robert Pattinson, he was entertaining as hell, and I was a huge fan of Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh. Those guys stole the show for sure. As Sator and Kat, I really like those two. Obviously, that's the main group there. I mean, I didn't hate John David Washington. I just thought, he wasn't as compelling as some of the other guys in Nolan's other movies, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that because, the talent's there for John Washington. Like, he's the son of, as I said earlier, he's the son of Denzel Washington. I've seen him in other movies before. Like, the talent is there. I just felt like in this movie, like kind of as you pointed out, he was kind of like held back. And I'm not sure why would you hold an actor of his prestige back, So, like, I kind of knows what you're sort of talking about right there. Like, I feel like he could have had a better performance. But my favorite cast member in this movie was Robert Pattinson's character of Neil. I thought he really sold the character well. I feel like that's kind of like what John Washington should have been able to live up to, casting wise, was for Robert's performance. So again, disappointed with John Washington on that. But Pattinson did a really good job. I thought he nailed his deliveries, showed emotion at correct times, and I thought he was really good. And the rest of the cast members too, I thought they did a really good job as well. But for Sator, I wish I could hear him. Like, I understand he was trying to sell the accent and all that too, but it's kind of hard to really get invested into a bad guy if you just don't understand the damn word he's saying. So I'd rather him not have the accent, or I'm not sure if that's how he actually talks. If that's how he actually talks, then damn, I feel bad for other people in the outside world. But other than that, I thought the cast was really good.
Yeah. So I think, so it's interesting. Sator, he actually he doesn't have a Russian accent in reality. He learned to do the Russian accent for the movie.
Okay,
and
so
he also,
shows.
and then also in the
he's British in real life.
Yeah, in the proving window scene, he's actually speaking backwards with a Russian accent for the shot there. So that's something he had to learn to do, and I thought it was pretty impressive because, like, a subpar director is just going to reverse the audio, right? No, not Nolan. He's going to make his guy freaking learn how to speak backwards and with a Russian accent. So that's what he did, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's not something that I would have known probably if I didn't watch the special features, but it's just pretty cool to see that he did that.
Yeah, I love the cast. Probably on the other side. I mean, I thought John David Washington did a fine job. I mean, I think Nolan was kind of going for like the old spy protagonist. You know what I mean? So kind of stoic, kind of like doesn't emote very much. And so I think he's just kind of level, through the whole movie. But he gets a couple of liners in there, like whenever the guy is patting him down at the dinner scene, and he's like, "Easy, where I'm from, you buy me dinner first." But yeah, he had a couple of gigs here and there, and
went to the kitchen and asked, like, "I asked for the hot sauce an hour ago."
Yeah, both of those scenes, like, you're right, the lines there, but I just didn't like the delivery of the lines. I don't know, but I just thought it was kind of, it didn't match his character, I guess. Because like you said just a second ago, he is just kind of even keeled. And to that respect, I get what they were doing with him. And for that, he does a good job. And then he throws in these little one-liners, and it just doesn't really fit with what he's been doing so far. I don't know, but
and do you know who can actually be a better actor? That I'm probably not a popular opinion on this one, but like with you say, like with the delivery not landing, but the guy that plays War Machine in the Avengers.
Which one?
Well, we're not talking about like the first Iron Man. We're talking.
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, yeah.
Yeah, like he could have dropped the lines that Chris was talking about a lot better than John Washington can. I feel like that, like his personality he brings into his characters could have fit better, maybe. But yeah, this is a serious movie, so John Washington did fit again. But I agree with Brad. Just didn't really set well for me, and that's all I got on that.
You could have brought in Denzel himself to do the role, and I think he's not. I mean, he's not. I don't know if he'd be freaking bungee jumping across the sky or anything, but he's still doing Equalizer movies, and he's kicking ass there. So
not anymore, buddy. Queen Latifah now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, it wasn't long ago when he was doing Equalizer movies. Yeah. But keep going, Chris. I apologize.
No, don't worry about it. Hijacking my, spiel there. That's completely fine. No hard feelings. Just, I think that he was meant to be kind of even keel, as where Robert Pattinson's character is meant to be a little more cavalier about things. He gets to have a little bit more fun. And as a side note, man, I really think that despite all the bad shit about the Twilight movies, which were
we won't
terrible.
Get into those.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, you saw that little, I see if I even bring it up, my brain just like stops vampires for a second. And, no. I quit the show. No,
yes, I did it. No, I'm just kidding. No, fuck sparkly vampire shit.
Yeah, I hated that, but I think he's done a nice turnaround as of late. Love The Lighthouse. I really liked him in this.
Let night to inspect you down, Winslow.
Why'd you spill your beans?
Those farts.
In your goddamn farts. But he's done a nice job as of late. I thought this was another one to put in to that canon. And Debicki was great. I thought she could have been given a little bit more to do. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of a background character, except for when the story, it was convenient, you know what I mean, for her to kind of pop back up. And then, of course, Kenneth Branagh, like you said, I mean, it was a big departure for him too, to kind of be the villain, and especially with the Russian accent and everything else. I thought he fucking killed it. I do want to talk about the wardrobe department just for a second, because Elizabeth Debicki is a fox, a stone cold fox, and she's also 6'3", and they made the decision to put her in heels in a lot of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And she towers over everyone in the movie.
She's tall. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's
Yeah,
definitely
she's very
tall.
tall.
Dick
And
Gummit, like that. Like, now I'm just seeing it in my head. Like, why did I not see that before?
she's towering over everyone. You know what that means for me? The first thought that I had, like when I was watching the movie,
What's
I have an
that?
idea where it's going.
I bet I could walk right up to her and put her titty in my mouth.
Oh my!
You know what I mean? I wouldn't even have to bend. I wouldn't even have to bend down. I could walk right up to her and like be right at where around in and around where her nipple would be, and I think that would be amazing. So thank you to the costume department for doing that to me. But really though, I thought everybody nailed it. I didn't really have a problem with John David Washington. I guess I get where you guys were going with that. About him being a little stale or whatever, but I thought I thought he did an okay job.
It's
I like
interesting
Dimple
too.
Kapadia's character as well. The Indian lady that I guess turns into his boss or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I thought she did a really nice job. She kind of pops up here and there, and mostly a Bollywood actress, I believe. But I thought she did a really nice job.
Priya. Yeah, she did a good job. It was interesting. I did some digging here. Well, I wouldn't say it wasn't a lot of digging, but I checked out just because I was interested on why John David Washington got selected to be the protagonist here, and Nolan actually wrote this script with him in mind after he went to the premiere of Black Klansman and saw him in that movie, and I thought that was interesting. Just because I don't know, he said that he doesn't usually do that, but he saw this guy and the way he captivates the audience and the way he takes the audience on the ride with him and whatnot, and he's like, yeah, I mean this character is his, and that's how I'm writing it. So I thought that was a little bit interesting because I was curious. I was looking who else may have auditioned for the role, but it didn't really.
There was nobody yet. He just offered it to him outright. Same thing with Pattinson. Actually, he might not have wrote it for him specifically, but I don't think that he had contact with anyone else about doing that role. I think he just like had a meeting and offered it to him,
which it worked. I mean, it's fine. It's just like I don't know when you come off of like Interstellar and Dunkirk didn't really have a lot of, it didn't really have anybody in it of note either, really. I mean, I had some fine people in it, but no Leos or Matthew McConaughey's or anything like that.
Tom Hardy.
That's true. He was there. He didn't do a lot though. He was just kind of riding around
with his face covered again.
With his face covered, yeah.
In the Nolan movie.
The darkness.
Cillian Murphy was in there too.
That's
another
right,
Nolan favorite.
Yeah,
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles was
Kenneth Branagh.
I don't remember any performances in that movie that really stood out. I've only seen it once though, and it was in theaters, so maybe that's why.
I think it was actually designed that way. He didn't want to have like a big name person in there. He wanted to be more about the story or whatever. I think I read that somewhere a while back. So
that makes sense.
Because it was
but yeah,
being a war movie,
I did think it was cool too. I saw in another one of the little featurettes that Pattinson actually did most of his driving stunts. After he was driving reverse and shit, like freaking to get the shots the way they were, and I thought that was cool of him doing his own stunts. John David did a couple little stunts too, where he jumped off the building and whatnot. With
it's
the
really him on some of the fire truck scenes as well.
Yeah.
are actually him climbing on there. Yeah.
So anytime that happens, I think it's great. And not to mention the fight scenes where John David's fighting himself. He had to film that thing. I think
four different ways.
Yeah, 4 different ways.
Yeah, so both like the character, cause obviously the fight scene happens, twice from 2 different perspectives, but it's also, he's moving 2 different ways through time through each fight, so he has to do it forward and backward with each character.
Yeah,
does that make sense, Brett? He's like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
I was just going to say that that fighting choreography at the airports was just
fantastic.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah, man. Honestly, whenever I saw that, I mean, because it's one of those things where it's so like foreign. Whenever you see it, whenever I saw it in IMAX the first time, I was like, "How the fuck did they do that?" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Because you can't really tell like who's pulling and who's pushing, and
Oh yeah, I
it's
still
pretty wild.
couldn't figure it out really. So that's how great of a job they did.
And that's the thing too. An inferior director comes in and does that scene. He just does it, and then he reverses the footage. Not with Nolan though. He shoots it 4 times. He makes your leading actor go through this scene 4 complete times to get what he wants out of it, and it pays off. I mean, it's fantastic. It's some of the best choreography, just most interesting choreography, I should say, that I've ever seen. And it's a fantastic scene.
And I want to throw this out there real quick while we're talking about it, because I saw this and I thought, man, this is one of the best fight scenes. I think. I mean, in terms of like originality, and things like that, like the way that things are moving backwards and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to thinking, does this top the Joseph Gordon-Levitt rotating hallway fight? Because the rotating hallway fight is a crazy fucking scene, dude. And I think for me, I'll speak first. I still think the hallway fight scene is a little bit. I mean, it's so disorienting with them jumping on the wall, then jumping on the ceiling. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Yes,
but you got to remember though, like they established that world can do stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, by the time they fight each other, you've kind of, I mean, that things can move backwards through time. You just haven't seen a person do it yet. So I guess the surprise may be a little bit better in Tenet, but in terms of just like fighting and the creativity of it, I think it probably still goes to Inception for me.
I think it's cool. The Tenet one actually stands out to me because you see it twice, and you see it through both perspectives. You see it from the forward protagonist, and you see it through the backwards protagonist. And I think that's an interesting concept, because the first time you don't know what the hell's going on, and then it all comes together, and then he comes back and he's running through the whole thing again. And I think that's cool. And the score that also plays during that scene, it's very memorable. I don't remember exactly what piece of music's playing during the Inception one. I'm sure it was epic, whatever it was. But
the second one, when he goes back through, when he's actually inverted and he's in the suit going back and fighting, I just thought of something. But whenever he's moving backward, the music there is actually reversed as well.
Yeah, I did notice it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a couple of places there that it's actually noticeably like the actual melody is playing in reverse. But fun side note, the composer actually wrote some of this. He would write things like out on a guitar and then play it in reverse, and then take whatever it was in reverse, that series of notes in that way, and give it to the orchestra and let them play it that way. And so that's how some of the music came to be.
Oh man,
of course.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's like details, man. Like if you could just nail details like that just really enhances the movie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's incredible. And again, an inferior composer wouldn't have done that. It's.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Hans Zimmer, but I thought that Ludwig Göransson came in and did a really nice job for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, do you even want to be like where to even begin? Like from the story, the plot of this movie. Like, I think it's time to tackle this bad boy.
But I want to kick this off if I may. I just want to know, Brett, do you said you were still having a hard time with it. Like, what do you know exactly where you get lost, or is there like one specific thing that you're like, well, how the fuck, like, is there one specific thing, or is it just like?
I guess it was just the third act, because when I thought I just started to figure things out, then the whole damn like final act where there was the two teams, one's from the inverted and the one's not. I just got tuned down. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this battle. I don't give a damn about the story. I'm lost. And
did you notice that the big battle at the end is 10 minutes forward and 10 minutes backwards?
Oh, now I do after you said it. Like I'm just like I saw they kept on looking at their clocks. Like I'm not what we call one of those like I'm a smart movie viewer. I just kind of like just watch on the screen and just enjoy what I can. I don't really like to think a whole lot unless if it's like a mystery movie, because you know, kind of like Knives Out. I love to think and try to guess the killer and look at the clues and all that. But this one right here just got too complicated for me, which that doesn't make it a bad film at all. But just like for a moviegoer like me, it's just really hard to follow the plot at times.
Yeah, it's a very ambitious story and a movie in general with concepts of time that you can't even begin to unravel. And only I think this is something that only Nolan could have made somewhat understandable. I think if anybody else comes in there, like if they get some freaking random ass director with this script and say, "All right, go make the movie," it'd come out to be a complete and utter disaster. Like it's a very ambitious freaking. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been made by anyone else but Nolan. But I really think that Warner Brothers should have been like, look, dude, we love the script. Tone it the fuck down.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
don't
like
get me wrong.
make the casual audience person, kind of like me, make sure they can follow along. Like you can throw some complicated, like little complicated stuff for like the smarter moviegoer, but just for people like me, yeah, tone it down.
Well, and also you can't fucking hear anything, which makes a big difference. And then also, I mean, even if you could hear every word, like it's a 2 hour. What's a 2 hour and
About
30,
2 hour and 15
40,
minutes.
Was it 15? I was thinking it was longer.
Like that
than
credits,
220.
I think hit the like 220, and it was the 10-minute credits.
So, yes, you're dealing with over 2 hours, and it never stops. It's just constantly throwing information at you. I just would have preferred somewhere in the middle that you could stop for a second, enjoy just some time with the characters. You know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand you're not meant to know that much about the protagonist, and that's by design. But it would have been nice just to chill in the middle, so you're like information overload in your first act, and then in your second act you can kind of relax and soak that in, so you know the rules of how all this shit works, and then you get your big third act like hell of gunfire. You know what I mean? Like but it's not like that. That's kind of how Inception was, right? That's why it works so well. It's like information overload in the beginning, and then you're kind of going through the motions in your second act, and you're kind of building up. You know how everything works at that point, and then when you get to your third act, you're already in the world. You already know how everything works and what's going on. You're not that lost. But this one, it's just like information overload from start to finish. You don't ever have a time to digest what
and to breathe.
Because
I thought, that's what exactly like you perfectly of how I felt. Like I didn't get a chance to breathe in the process all this information. It's like they keep on layering it one after the other, and I just finally tuned out. I'm like, no, screw that. I'm just going to pay attention to other things.
Yeah, and I almost get the feeling when I'm watching this movie that he doesn't really Nolan doesn't even care about making the plot known. Like he's just like he's like, let me make this thing look as good as it can possibly look and as interesting as possible and just have a good time.
And mission accomplished on that.
Totally. And it's like, because I mean, the dialogue is completely drowned out. We've already talked about that. It's like, obviously it didn't seem that important to him to get the dialogue out there. And B, there's even a line in the movie where he's talking to the scientist and she's like, oh, don't begin to try to understand it. Just accept it or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's like,
don't try to understand it, feel it. And I've read that so many times
at the viewing audience, though, when I actually kind of think about it.
I have read that so many times. Like that's why that's the first, like outside of the opera siege in the beginning, that's the first thing whenever you go there. And he talks to Barbara, and she says that I've many people have written that was directed at the audience. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be. And Nolan himself came out and was like, I don't know why everybody's bitching about the dialogue. Like, why don't you just have a good time? I mean, not verbatim, but, he was like, oh, well, I don't know why, you don't just relax and just try to have a good time with it. And for the record, I will say, I mean, I will say that even though it's not my favorite Nolan film, I think it came up short. I mean, obviously, I've watched it a gazillion fucking times. I do have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a fun movie. I really do. And I think it's been fun trying to figure everything out.
It's got some of the best looking freaking action sequences I mean, you're talking just everything in this thing. Not just the time stuff. We'll get more into that, but like just the action set pieces, the airplane crashing into the building, the highway heist there with the trucks, and the bungee jumpers and the whole ending battle. It all looks it looks beautiful, man. And there's not an overuse of CGI. You can see they actually freaking crashed a plane. At least they made that appearance. There's explosions. I mean, it all looks very real and it doesn't look fake. And they put a lot of money and a lot of work into making this thing look as well as it does. And it's just fun to freaking watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I thought that the highway heist, like even not just the scene where the car's flipping over in reverse, which by the way, there was a much cooler shot of that in the trailer, and that really pissed me off whenever I went to go see it in IMAX. And it was like when the car flips over, you're actually like in the actual movie, you're viewing it from inside the car, from inside the car that Pattinson and Washington are in. And that pissed me off because in all the trailers, you actually are like coming straight at the car while it flips, which is a much better viewpoint. So I don't know if something.
Yeah, it's like you're in the car with him, experiencing what was happening outside the car.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it looks so much cooler from the other way. Really pissed me off. But I digress about that. Yeah, but even before then, like the fire truck scene that leads into that, you know what I mean?
Yes,
like it looks phenomenal.
And the score that plays over that whole sequence there is fantastic too.
Yeah. That's actually the loop that they used to create that Travis Scott song at the end of it, which is a fucking banger. I've been jamming that shit out for a while.
Yeah, I would easily say the highway scene was my favorite kind of like action sequence throughout the entire film. Like both highway scenes, like when they, go forward and go back. I thought all that was just very well done.
Yeah, no doubt. They shut a major fucking like a whole interstate down in Estonia in Tallinn for like 3 weeks or something. They're like, can I get to work? The other fucking way, buddy. We got Christopher Nolan in town, all right? You're fired. You know what I mean? Like, go on back. So a lot of work went into that shit. And they wrecked the real plane, drove a plane into a fucking building there. And like you said, all the stunts and they filmed in what was it, like 7 or 8 different countries?
They filmed all over the place, and they did it with IMAX for the most part, all the action set pieces anyway. And I mean it's one of the best looking. I put the 4K in, dude, on the right here, and I was like, this thing is absolute. It's one of the best looking freaking movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, man.
Visually.
When I put the 4K in, dude, man. Whew, I had to call the wife. I was a wreck for the whole movie. Honestly, it was.
Call the wife. Tell her I'm on the way.
Yeah, buddy. No, it looked great though. The cinematography, the way they shot everything. We were talking about earlier with the fight scenes and all that. They actually did that for the entire movie, where they were like, for each inverted scene and things like that, they would use a different tactic. IMAX manufactured like specific cameras that would run backwards, so like would capture everything in reverse. And then sometimes they would do like the actors would learn to like move, like basically like going forward, but like they were moving in reverse and vice versa. And so when John David Washington comes out of the thing for the first time, there's like that big dramatic, like, the fucking door rolls up and he's like, take the time to orient yourself, all that. And they actually filmed that with him getting out of the car, right? And he does all that shit in reverse, and then they play it forward. So
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they actually did. Yeah.
Like when he steps in the puddle and shit, like it's all, he got out of the car and walked backwards, and then stepped in the puddle and then walked back. That's why it looks so foreign. Like whenever he comes out and he's like looking at his hands and blinking backwards and stuff. So yeah, like all those different tactics, and then of course like you get the car crash is just them playing it in reverse. But oh yeah, and I remember they were the car chase is the way they filmed it whenever they're actually in the car, and the SUV is chasing them like in reverse or whatever. It's actually the other way. The car is actually chasing the SUV
in reverse.
In reverse, yeah. And they would take cars and reverse the axles, and they would have a guy like in the trunk or some shit like that. And so the car, like, to the audience looks like it's, going this way, or it's going in reverse this way, but there's actually a guy inside the trunk that's like driving the fucking thing.
Yeah, I saw where they did
at high speed. You see that? That's pretty bad.
Yeah, where they reversed the axle so they could go faster in reverse, basically full speed in reverse. Yeah.
Can you fucking imagine, dude? I would love to be doing like 60, like get the fuck out, And like, this guy's going in reverse, dude. I'm not getting in his fucking way.
Yeah, and that's why it looks so good, man. That's because they actually freaking did the work to the details, man. I saw the like, you saw the stuff where they were doing like they had this whole program where they had everything kind of put into the computer animation style, where they're like matching everything up perfect to match the reverse, like for the proving window scene where they're walking out one side and coming in the other. It's like they had this whole thing freaking mapped out in a computer system to where it would match up perfectly. Like, and it's like there's so much detail. Like, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like you can't step the wrong way here because it's going to throw up the whole dynamic of this. And it works, man. Like, it's just it's only like a 2-second portion where you can see them both coming out, but all the work they put in to make sure that was perfect. It's awesome. It's really cool. And yeah, that just the car sequences, man, it looks fantastic. And it's because they did the details up front, man.
Yeah. And I will say that the proving window was the only part in the movie. Like when I saw it the first time, that's where I got lost. I could follow the whole fucking thing up until that moment. But I did watch that, and you probably saw the same like behind the scenes featurette or whatever. But when Nolan was talking about, he had like a crew that was just dedicated to making sure that the timelines, like they weren't fucking anything up on the timelines, and that even like the cinematographer and like the whole team, the stunt guys and everything were like making sure that they, weren't fucking anything up with the timelines, basically. I thought that was funny. That even he was like, you got to keep it on track.
Yeah, they had a dude, like his main job was just to tell everybody what the fuck they were doing. Like what was going on in the story at this point and which direction it was going. And that was like his whole paycheck was coming from figuring that shit out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was.
Yeah. And sadly, it sounds simple, but I don't think his job was really that easy.
Oh no, absolutely not. Especially just messing with time travel. That's just like a very hard thing to deal with, like for movies, especially the way they did it. Because might as well just go ahead and talk about the time travel. I think this is easily the most unique like presentation of time travel in my opinion.
Not time travel, buddy. Inversion.
Inversion. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, inversion. But like, it's just like, I was really like intrigued with it, just like trying to understand it. So I'm hoping you all can help me understand it a lot better.
Yeah, this is the one part that I was proud that I actually got right. I knew that it wasn't going to be like you could step into a machine and get from point A to point B. It's literally just you step into a machine, it's like a closed system, and it reverses your entropy. So you're in effect moving backwards through a forward moving world. Right.
Yep. And then the goal was for the bad guy was to make the whole world reverse itself, essentially. So that way, I mean, it would pretty much be destroyed.
Yeah, all hell break loose.
Yeah.
It would render all of us, whatever year it was that they were going to activate it, everything else, the past would be erased, essentially.
Right.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, it gets into a lot of cool stuff, and it's all stuff that's scientific. I mean, not that it's scientifically accurate scientifically a thing, but just the science of entropy and all that stuff. Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. He kind of did the same thing with Interstellar, getting into the theory of relativity and all that.
Yeah,
and
consulted the same guy for this one, Kip Thorne.
He did.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all like based around actual science. It's just like not, it's all theoretical. There's nothing proven. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, the proving window was the part that lost me. Not completely, but you have to understand that like part of what they're doing is like you're moving forward through the story, but you're also seeing how the inversion works from like 3 different perspectives.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Right.
At that point.
Yeah, because like he's sitting there and you're seeing Sator on the other side of the window, and then all of a sudden he hits him in the head with a gun. There's like obviously 2 versions of him. And then, you're looking at it from our side, and he runs into the turnstile, and then he disappears, right? And it's like, oh, where did he go? And Ives is like, oh, he went to the past. And then it cuts to him coming out the other side, right? Because he's moving backwards now. And so you're seeing it from his point of view, and then you kind of shift back. I've done extensive research, and I can say the timelines make sense.
I'm sure they put the work in. I didn't even care, honestly, when I was watching. I'm like, I'm not even gonna begin to dissect this time frame to make sure if it makes sense or not. It could be completely off. Yeah. And I'm not even gonna freaking but I trusted that it probably did make sense, but I didn't begin to dissect it.
Yeah, like I was intrigued. They got my ass in the seat at the theater, so they did something right with it.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's still a lot of fun. I just thought that it was going to be a little bit more. It was still hella fun. Like, obviously, I've seen it, 50 times now. I think it's a lot of fun. But it's got its qualms. And when I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to be a little something a little bit different. You know what I mean?
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's different for sure. It is fun. Again, so far my first 2 viewings, I've only seen it twice. I need to watch it more. I need to get back on your level now that subtitles are available. But I think I'm more into just the visuals, man. I'm just there for the good time, and the rest of it, I'll pick up more and more every time I watch it, I'm sure. But it's just,
easily multiple viewings for sure. But I'm gonna be one that's like, I'm glad you all want to rewatch and all that. Like, I might put this on like once in a while, and then I'll just kind of remind myself, like, yeah, this is really fucking confusing. But
hey, you know what? Those reverse fight scenes are a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, like exactly. Like they still did a lot of good things right, and you can still I can still be entertained with this movie, like in that aspect. So I would easily pop this on again in the future. Or in the invert, or however you want to do it. But
do it in the past, but do it tomorrow.
Yeah, buddy. You can watch it tomorrow, and you'll figure it out yesterday. Was there anything that you were lost on, Brad? Like anything that didn't make sense? Because I know there was a couple of things to me that didn't make sense. Like after I had the proving window figured out, I was like, well, why the fuck is it that like they're walking into the when they very first walk into the what is the Freeport, what the hell happened here? He says, oh, it hasn't happened yet, and the things just open and 2 people come out, and I was like, how the fuck, because like if you don't see the other person run in, then how the fuck do you see them? See them on the other side.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that where I was just like, I don't know. And there were several times in the movie where I was like, wait, what are they doing again? What's their goal? And again, that's I just need to see it more often just to pick up on those little things. Just because I get so caught up in the action and stuff, and I'm like, wait, I don't even remember what we're even doing here. But which is fine. There was one moment where I was like, let's go to the part where the protagonist is fighting himself the first time. And he goes in there and he's like, oh, what's happened? Well, it hasn't happened yet. and he comes out, and I always thought the first time I thought he was trying to shoot his own ass, but it almost kind of looks like he's trying to just shoot.
He's
away.
trying to empty the clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of that. And the whole point of that was that what I was trying to get at was that I didn't understand was that he was already inverted, right, when he enters the turnstile. So he entered the first time, he inverted himself. He had already experienced that, right? And then he inverted himself a week later. Right? So he's moving backwards through time, but the protagonist, the forward moving protagonist, hasn't got there yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
okay, so let's say that you walk into a turnstile at 10:30 and you reverse 30 minutes in time, and you walk into a turnstile and then you come back out the other side. Someone that's moving forward through time gets to the turnstile at 9:59. Nothing would happen until you walk in at 10:01, but they can't know that because they're experiencing time forward, right? They're not at 10:01, they're at 9:59. Right? So at 10:01, you walk in, and exactly when it strikes 10 o'clock, you walk into the turnstile inverted. So then from an outsider's perspective, the two turnstiles would open and two people would walk out at 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
You're both lost.
Yeah. I'm totally lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're doing a lot better job than what the movie did for me.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I just, at the same time, I'm like, I don't even remember. Like, I just don't know exactly what.
Yeah, like I'm with Brad. Like, I just got lost in all that with the action, so I really didn't pay any attention to that.
Well,
those little details.
You have to consider, like, on the one hand, they're showing you like what the experience of time is and inversion through, like, what would happen if you walk through a turnstile, right? So if you walk through a turnstile at this time, and then if you're inverted and you walk through a turnstile, but they're also showing you what happens from a bystander's standpoint. You know what I mean? Like from their point of view, which is effectively what John David Washington is whenever he's walking into that first room, right? Because he's not. I mean, technically he is, but it's a different version of him. I fucked it up. Y'all are confused now. I know. Don't worry about it.
Way to go!
Yeah, I shouldn't have threw that part in there because it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it's all good. There's nothing specific that stands out. That's like, oh gosh, this is I can't make sense of this, just because I don't know if I even looked that much into the little nuances and the details just to even think about it. Because again, I was just there. I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy the ride. I'm not going to try to pick apart everything just because I just my head would explode if I started
do what Christopher Nolan told you to do.
Yeah, I'm just here for the ride, and it looks great. I'm having a good time. It's fantastic, and I like thinking about that stuff a little bit, but I don't like thinking about every single little thing that goes on at my.
You like thinking about Elizabeth Debicki at the end of it in that bathing suit?
Yeah, where she's like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm freaking."
Oh, you know what though, man? She slides him right off the boat, buddy.
She's got that. She's like, "Oh, I spilled me some sunscreen over here," and then she just slip and slide, baby.
Oh yeah, dude, he's over at that point.
And then he fucking crashes onto that.
Rail, bounces right off the rail, dude.
Poor Sator, like he got freaking just knocked the hell out, like got out of the water twice, one permanently.
She went a little premature on that too, but whatever, it worked.
Just a little bit. Hey, I bet a lot of people go premature on her, buddy.
Oh my gosh!
All right, I'm done. Cut that out.
No, I'm keeping that in. Screw you. But you want to go into the third act, like because like that's where I like really got lost.
Yeah, and I will say here as well. I really thought that it was headed toward a different. I thought I was headed in a different direction for the third act. I was sort of displeased with this giant battle at the end because I don't know. It seemed a little too grandiose for me, like, you know, for a finale. I mean, I know that's kind of like with the spy movie, and this is kind of like Nolan's, you know, Bond or whatever. And it's always got to be like an end of the world fucking scenario. But I really
maybe throwing in a little Dunkirk in there too, like with that final battle.
But I will say I respect what they did there. They built that entire fucking little town they had there. They built that whole thing. And I thought they did a really good job of having that many fucking people like moving forward and backward at the same time. And yeah, kudos to Jennifer Lame for not pulling her fucking hair out or committing suicide in the editing. That was his editor for this. And because I can't imagine. Can you imagine like having that footage plopped in your lap and then having Christopher Nolan be like, you know, this group of people are moving forward here and this group of people are moving backwards here, and you just need to cut it up, make it look interesting. And you're looking at everything like, well, I got to fucking do what? You know what I mean? Like, so I thought she did a great job of cutting that together. And the more times you watch it, the more it does make more sense. And also they blow the fucking building up at the same time. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yes, that was
like the building.
yeah.
They synchronize that right at the 5-minute mark. They blow the fucking top of the building up, and then that was an interesting scene. But basically, all you're seeing right there, the whole point of that is just to get the protagonist and Ives down into that little tunnel. All the other bullshit you see going on is just Robert Pattinson going back and forth. He's just inverting. He goes to the battle inverted, and then he uninverts to try and help his buddy, and then can't. So then he fucking inverts again.
Where was the machine at?
The machine. It was that big. You're talking about the inverting machine?
Yeah, like where was that? Like, since you mentioned that, like, I'm not thinking, I was like, damn, right in the middle of the battlefield, can you do all that?
It was that giant fucking thing in the middle.
Like the big, okay,
the little pyramid looking thing, and he walks down in there, and if you watch him, he looks over, and you know how Ives earlier in the movie was like, if you don't see yourself getting out of that window, you ain't fucking getting out, that whole thing. And he looks over and he sees himself about to get out, so he jumps in the machine or whatever. So that's how he inverts again, or uninverts, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then he has that John David Washington has that big completely unnecessary argument with Sater through a fucking walkie-talkie, where, as Brad alluded to earlier, you can't hear most of what's going on. And then you discover that someone pops up and takes a bullet in the head, and you later find out that that's Robert Pattinson. Basically, Robert Pattinson is Kyle Reese.
Yeah, going back in time, taking one for the team.
But he's just constantly weaving himself through the mission. He says, "I'll making another pass, weaving through the fabric of this mission or whatever." So it's Robert Pattinson in the opera siege in the beginning, that whenever Washington's about to get shot, right? Yes. And the reverse bullet comes up, and he runs away, and you see that little orange tag on his backpack. That is Pattinson there. And then, he saves him several other times. And then at the very end of it, he's like, I don't know any locksmiths as good as you. Ives says that to him. And, you kind of have that emotional scene at the end, realizing that he's about to sacrifice himself to save John David Washington.
And it was cool. Yeah, that was neat. And I think it's fairly obvious, I think, the second time around, that it was definitely freaking Max. Neil and Max combo there, the whole theory there that Neil is Max, the kid of Elizabeth. To me, watching it the second time, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Max. It's not even a question. It's
I think that is a theory that's been floated around. Plus, Nolan he's like, oh well, Pattinson's playing this character called Neil, or at least we think he's called Neil. You can never tell these spy characters. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, motherfucker. You don't want to say that his name's Neil. So I think there's a lot of credence to that theory. I think the only issue that I have with it is like, how much time would he how long would he have to be inverted to be that old and then go back? And he's a fucking kid in this current timeline.
Yeah, he's a kid, but at the same time, I mean, you when you have this technology at your disposal, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You go back as far as you want to go back. It doesn't really matter. You can do this as many times as you want. He's obviously in a loop of some sort. So, I don't know. Just the whole thing, it makes sense to me, man. It really does.
Yeah. Also, there's just a couple little nuances in there. Every time that you see him as a child, he's always like in front of the school. He makes some kind of comment about he wants to go to Pompeii, and the Seder Square was found in Pompeii. Oh, speaking of which, did you guys pick up on all the Seder Square references?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, Tenet and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Seder Rodas was the name. Yeah, Rodas was the company, his company, his construction company or whatever. Opera obviously is where the movie started, and then they use Arepo as the Thomas Arepo, the guy who got the painting.
Yes.
Initially, so they're all in there. But he says something about that, about going to Pompeii, and then at the end of it, Pattinson's like, "Are you going to go check on Kat and her son?" And he's like, "No." And Pattinson gives him that, kind of like this little smile, and he's like, "Not even from afar." And he's like, "No, it's too dangerous. Not even from afar." And I think there's kind of little hints here and there, but
there's all kinds of little. And then the name itself is it's right in front of you. I mean, it's right there.
But I just don't know if the time matches up. I really haven't thought about the time too much. But yeah, he would have to invert for a long fucking time. But yeah,
he's got nothing but time on his hands.
But I think that it's completely plausible. Yeah,
I do love just all the interactions they had as they were getting to know each other on the second time. I'm like, oh. Yeah, like he knows everything about this guy. He knows his Diet Coke. He knows his like everything. Like he's got it figured out, and he knows exactly what he's going to do. He's obviously, and then just the whole idea where they've been friends forever, and this is only the beginning of the protagonist is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't lie, man. The ending was much sadder than I would have anticipated.
Yeah,
when going into it, I didn't care too much for the third act, but I thought it was kind of a nice revelation there at the end. Whenever he's like, "We've known each other for years," and he's like, "Yeah, dude, cool. All right, well, don't hold me up. I'll catch you later. I got to go take this bullet for you, you fucking asshole."
They say something too, like, "This is the end of a beautiful friendship," or
something like that. And he's like, "But for me, it's just the beginning." And he's like, "Yeah, well, see you later."
Big gulp.
Like, yeah. Big gulps, huh? See you later. Bullet in the head, huh? See you later.
Yeah, and I think it works out fine with that little secret there, or I guess theory.
Also, I'll point out the bombs going off at the end of the movie was pretty fucking awesome. Like the mines and the bombs hitting the ground and the shockwave going reverse and stuff like that. Like that was all pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah, and it's it's hella fun. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I was going to say, since we explained that little crazy third act, any final thoughts about Tenet?
I don't think so.
Or if there's just like anything else you want to include.
Well, we talked about the cast. We talked about a little bit about the characters. The cinematography was great. The score was great. Just really kind of got lost, I think, in ambition. I really think if it would have been slowed down a little bit, it could have been another top-notch, kind of thing. But I mean, also compared to a lot of shit that comes out these days, I liked it a lot, and I did have a lot of fun with it. So I can't fault it too much. Just need to slow down just a little bit.
I would like to say there's one part of the movie that I really liked, a shot that I really liked, but I was thinking about it on this watch. I was like, what the fuck? It's at the very beginning when he's torturing the protagonist, and you got one train going forwards, one's going back. I'm like, this looks stunning. And then I'm like, wait a minute, who the fuck tortures people in the middle of a fucking two trains? like who's... I was thought about the logistics of it. I'm like, who sits up here in the middle of a freaking train yard and starts torturing bitches? Like, I don't. Yeah, but either way,
the Russians. Come on, man.
I guess so. Like, there's just so Like the first time, I was so captivated by the shot, and the second time I was thinking about it. I'm like, what the fuck? They're sitting here in the middle of a train yard.
I think they were just like, where can we take this guy like out in public? 'Cause I don't want to take him like to a house. Let's take it. Where can we take this guy in public and torture him, and also simultaneously drown out his screams? A train yard. It's like, yeah, dude, you got it. Like a train yard. All right.
Yeah, the henchmen that nobody acknowledges, just train yard. You're a gift, my friend.
Yeah.
No, I don't have really anything else. That was one thing I noticed on Watch. I thought it was just kind of funny, and I forgot to mention it earlier. But yeah, I'm good, man. I thought it was a good discussion, and I'm looking forward to watching it a third time and maybe even a fourth at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it, man. The more times you watch it, the kind of easier that it gets, especially once you've got subtitles, dude. I mean, that really makes the world of difference. Also, I'd like to say, Barbara, the girl at the beginning, the scientist, definitely the chick who created the algorithm.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, definitely. They say she's the one who created the algorithm, and the final scene, even after the Pattinson scene, he climbs in the car and fucking pops her one in the head.
Yeah, Priya, right?
Priya.
Priya.
Yeah. It's fucking badass, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
But yeah, and overall, like again, like I've been saying, like this movie really did confuse me, but just the cinematography, the score, and for the most part, the acting, which is all spectacular. I can still have a really good time with this. A lot of work has gone into this movie, as Brad has pointed out a lot of times. So if I were to score this, I would keep it at a 4 out of 5. A trip to the Tosche station for me.
I think that's where my score would be as well.
Are you awake?
Who, Jeff?
Oh, yeah, my name is Jeff. Oh, I was talking about you, dude. I wholeheartedly thought your eyes were closed there for a second.
No. My eyes were definitely open.
He was looking down.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was thinking about my score. I was looking it up on Letterboxd too to see just to make sure that that's what I gave it. But yeah, it would be a 4 for me too, just because, and that's strictly just from visuals, man. Like it's doing a lot, for sure.
And
I gave it.
Go ahead.
A 4 as well. No, I'm sorry, I've been interrupting people all fucking night.
I was gonna say, I've actually been the worst in this episode, so I do apologize. But,
I gave it a 4 as well. That's all I was gonna say. I think we all have a similar score, just for different reasons. But
mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just the main negative I was going to point out, because this wouldn't be a Bratman quick review without me saying it. But my biggest negative was it was just too long. No, I'm kidding. That's not I understand why this movie needed to be over 2 hours. So.
Yeah, it also could have been longer, probably. It
very well could have, which I appreciate the depth. And I would have really put a negative score just for the length. But
that's what I told my cousin the first time we watched it together. I was like, look, either they needed to trim some shit out of that and slow it down a little bit, or it needed to be about 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that is too fucking much to throw at somebody, and you know what I mean, and expect them to fucking keep up. So, but also hella fun. So
it's a good time.
Oh man! Speaking of good times, this was obviously a great time. I enjoyed this discussion. I learned a lot of new details about this movie, so I can't wait to give it another watch in the future. And for good episodes, should we go ahead and inform what they can expect in 2 weeks?
Yes.
All right, Chris, are you good with that?
Yeah, Daddy, I'm good with it.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm just going to say it will be a bearable episode, because we are going to talk about movie discussion of Midsommar. And I cannot wait to hear Chris's damn thoughts about that movie.
He said a bearable episode.
Yeah, see, bracket. Yeah, y'all get the pun now. So.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, I love the movie, man. One of my favorite. A profession that I didn't even know existed popped up the first time that I saw that, and I've been obsessed with it ever since.
That's the profession of the push, right?
Yes, sir. Professional
Yeah.
pusher.
We will be talking about that very unique push in 2 weeks' time. So be sure, shut up, Brad. Be sure in 2 weeks when this video drops to watch the Midsommar one, and we're going to have a great time.
You guys
Push
want me
it
to
to the
email?
limit.
Wait. I bet anything that whatever. You guys want me to email you the director's cut?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually,
Yeah.
yes, I have not seen that
and
yet.
we'll do the director's cut of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So, gentlemen, shall I go ahead and take us home?
Take us there.
Home. So, guys,
Looks like you're
what
already
did
home.
you all think about Tenet? Did you enjoy the cinematography and the scores and all that good stuff that the movie did in Tenet, or are you kind of like on my side where just the dialogue, like not hearing it clearly and just being really mind fucked about it? Like, or are you just like on that side? Let us know in that comment section down below, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to help us find a good reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Spotify, Apple freaking Podcasts. There's a Snapchat somewhere. We're all over the place. Those links are going to be in the description for you down here below.
Absolutely, and be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe because we're on our quest to 200 subs so we can have a little despate. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you know when the next video is up and running.
And we will see you yesterday.
Also, you can find me on OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/you will not need Valtrex. Thank you.
We're getting the fuck out of here after that. See you guys.